Welcome to your daily dose of Dividend. Today I'm gonna go through my top 3 stocks in each sector, and this is basically my watch list. Which companies I would like to own in each sector. I'm avoiding some sectors that has extremely low return on capital, and that is, for example, if we take a look at the Fundsmith annual shareholder meeting report from 2022, we can see that historical ROIC for utilities, telecom, transportation, energy, and materials. Yeah, those are basically the bottom 5. And I'm just not interested in this kind of stocks. Utilities might be a nice, stable income source for when you retire. But all in all, the other ones are not that growth oriented. I'm just not interested in those. So let's take a look at the next ones. So this is my watch list. First off is the ticker, and this is Home Depot, as you can see by the name. And I also have one column for the SMA 200. This is the average price, how it's doing over 200 days. So we can see that, for example, Home Depot is trading 17% below its average price. And the sector is consumer cyclical, or you can also say consumer discretionary. I think we also should take a look at fast graphs to see why Home Depot is doing so great. Usually I put it on a 13-year. Then we will have 10 years of historical data and 3 years of future estimates. I do this for normalization, so we treat each company the same here. And for Home Depot, we can see it has extremely consistent growth of its earnings, is the yellow line. The blue line is its normal PE, what it's trading at. So right now might actually be a good time to get into Home Depot if you like it. Next up is Nike. And Nike is extremely strong with its brand worldwide. It is always trading at a premium, but right now it's actually trading 21% below its average price. It's also in the consumer cyclical sector, and I will have 3 in each sector that we will go through. Let's also take a look in fast graph how the current valuation for Nike looks. And for Nike, we can see that it has been extremely overvalued. Yeah, the last 3 or 4 years, but it has come down a lot lately. It has dropped from $177 down to almost $110. About a 40% price drop. So it's starting to look interesting. Don't let the graph fool you. The growth is extremely good still in Nike. It has an annual growth of its earning of 13%. The next one is Starbucks. And Starbucks has had some problems lately with unionization, the close down in China of its stores, and the CEO switch, but Starbucks is still a big quality brand, and they are growing a lot. If we look at Starbucks, we will see that it actually also has an extremely steady earnings growth, with of course a dip in 2020. And right now it's a bit undervalued compared to its own PE. So it might fall a bit more, but compared to its average PE, it might be a good entry point right now. And it also has extremely good earnings growth of over 13%. The next sector is consumer defensive or consumer staples. And here the first one on my watch list at least is Mondelez. And they also have extremely strong brands like Oreos, Philadelphia, and for us in the Nordic countries, Marabou. It's quite hard to find high growth in consumer staples, but Mondelez are one of the few ones that is actually growing extremely steadily, but also at a reasonable pace of 8%. And right now it's trading exactly at its average PE over the last 10 years. Next up, we have Costco. And Costco is like the subscription model for consumer defensive stores. It's extremely good at keeping its customer and even growing its customer base, and it's opening a lot of stores. And let's see how it looks in fast graphs. It's also a big bet for Charlie Munger. He also likes Costco a lot, I know. And here we can see why. It's just rock solid, and it's rock solid with an extremely good growth for a consumer defensive company. It's just amazing, and people have realized it, so the stock price has just skyrocketed up to $5.90, but also now down to $4.16, but trading up a bit lately to $4.84. But yeah, a good entry point would probably be around the 400 mark. Next one in consumer defensives is Estee Lauder. They are making makeup. Have big brands like Michael Kors, DKNY, and of course Estee Lauder. And it's a business model and sector that is, they just have high margins, and everybody is constantly buying makeup. So yeah, I think the ticker here is EL. So let's see, Estee Lauder. Yeah, also here, don't let the graph fool you. The earnings growth, the orange line, is actually increasing at 13% per year, and also extremely consistent. No big ups and downs here, but yeah, the price need to probably come down to the 200 range before I would add into this stock. It's fairly expensive right now at a PE of 38. Next sector is finance, and if you haven't seen it right now, I'm trying to be also a bit diversified in each sector. I wouldn't have Adidas and Nike in the same watch list, and also I wouldn't have Hershey's and Mondelez, for example, or Target and Costco. Also diversify a bit in each sector. Anyway, Visa is just a powerhouse. Transactions being made every day. Some investors and analysts thought it would get eaten up by new startups like Square and such, but they are just too big and have their networks is just too well established. And also like Apple Pay and such are using Visa and MasterCard's networks. So, and if we check on Visa in fast graphs, we can see that it's just a powerhouse company. They are growing their earnings by 17% annually, and right now it's coming down to its average PE. So I actually added some Visa when it touched the blue line. Next up, JP Morgan Chase. The largest diversified bank in the USA. And it has also come down quite a lot. With banks, you have to realize it can get ugly in recession time, but JPM, compared to the other banks, at least last time, were the ones that fared the best. And right now, it looks like it's a bit on sale. So right now, might be a good time to add into JPM. And the last one in the finance sector is BlackRock. This is one of the largest investment banks. And like Visa and JPM, they are just a powerhouse. I know they operate a lot of ETFs. Example for the European, if we want to invest in American ETFs, we can do it via BlackRock and their iShares program. And if we type in BlackRock here, we can see that they also have rock solid earnings, and it has come down a lot, and it's now almost trading at the same level as before the disease, with an awesome earnings growth rate of 11.2% and now a dividend yield over 3%. That was the financial sector. Next up is healthcare, and the first one is Novo Nordisk, and they are, why I'm interested in them is that because they are the world's largest producer of insulin and also one of the few that has obesity approved drug from the FDA. Novo Nordisk is the Nordic country's largest company also, so it's a big Danish company. And if we see here in fast graphs, you can see that the earnings growth is extremely nice with a 12% annual growth rate. And I think here they got approved of their obesity drug, so the stock price just skyrocketed. So they also need to come down quite a lot in price before it might be a good annual rate of return. Right now it's projected to be basically zero. Number 2 in healthcare is United Health Group, and they are dominant in the health insurance sector with an awesome earnings growth and very nice stability overall. It's just a straight line, and the straight line goes up by almost 15% each year. I don't think it gets much better than this, but the stock price needs to come down maybe to about at least 350 range before at least I'll be interested in this one. Last one in healthcare is Zoetis, and this is a spin-off from Pfizer, and basically it's animal healthcare. They are also kind of expensive right now, at least last time I was watching them. But this is not like Bristol Myers or Merck. They actually have a lot of growth and steadily growth of 16%. The yield is quite low, and the yield tends to be low when the company is growing like this. But it's coming down in price, but we can see it has been extremely overvalued with a PE over 50, and that's just not reasonable for a pharmaceutical company like this. But the bet on animals, people have more cats, dogs, and such, I think is actually great. So for healthcare, we have health insurance, Novo Nordisk for insulin and obesity, and Zoetis for the animals. Next sector is industrial. First one here is Lockheed Martin. War, unfortunately, will always be a thing, and Lockheed Martin are among the best to supply not only the US government with high-tech missile systems and, of course, aircrafts. And we can see for Lockheed Martin that they actually have some reasonable growth also baked into their journey of over 10% actually. But it might be a bit more cyclical depending on what's going on in the world. Right now it's trading at a PE of 17. Next up in industrials are ADP. And I think this is the largest provider of keeping track of, for example, timesheets and stuff in industrials. And it's a bit of a software company, but it actually is in the industrial sector. And I really like ADP because it also has a stellar earnings growth, as we can see here. Same here, rock steady earnings growth line. And again, don't let the graph fool you, it's actually increasing by over 12% each year. And this is to compare with the S&P 500, and that is about, I think, 9.5% the last 10 years. Here we can see the S&P 500. Actually only 8.5% now. The last one in industrials is Canadian National Railway. And yeah, it's very, very hard. They have a big moat, so it's very hard for them to get thrown off their in their sector. They have one of the largest networks in not only North America, but also North America, Canada and USA, from coast to coast, and also a bit down in the US. And here actually Bill Gates is the largest owner. And if we look at CNI, you can see that they have a nice earnings growth. It's not like one of these skyrocketing earnings growth, but it's still 8.5%. That I think, for the stability is quite good. And now has a yield of over 2%. But this one would probably need to come down to the 100 mark for me to be interested. That was it for industrials. Next up is real estate. And here we have Realty Income, the monthly dividend company. And this is for, they have a lot of retail and triple net leases for them, like cinemas, gyms and such. If we take a look at we can see that their earnings, we have to swap to FFO for REITs, operating cash flow. And they also are quite valued around their PE, and it's not growing that fast, 6.7%. Next up, for real estate, we have American Tower, and they are providing telecommunication sites, for example, for AT&T, T-Mobile. They won't be out of business anytime soon, and here we can see, is it AMT? I think it is. We are still in FFO territory, and they actually have a bit more growth, actually a really nice growth of 13%. So among the REITs, this is probably one of my favorites, with really steady earnings growth. But the price has to come down a bit more, maybe to the 220 range, to me to dip in here. I don't own any AMT yet. The last one is Prologis, and this is the largest REITs out there in USA, and they just are expanding really quick, and it's in the industrial REIT sector, like renting out warehouses, for example, Amazon and such. Prologis is PLD, and we can see here during the disease and e-commerce boomed when the stores were closed. Everybody was betting on PLD for making good business for their warehouses. But here it's dropped down quite a lot, so now might soon be a good entry point here. Probably need to come down to the maybe 115 range. But the earnings growth is still very nice, 12%. And the last sector is technology. Apple, I don't think they need any introduction, but they just keep innovating new products, and they are just one of the best companies out there. And that we can see also here, is it Apple like this? I believe it is. In their earnings, they just keep on beating earnings every single time. And right now, I think even Warren Buffett bought some more Apple during the last dip here. And here we can see why. They have earnings growth of 16%. The yield is not very high. It's not the income play, but yeah, I think still for me at least, it would need to come down maybe to the 100 range for me to add back into Apple. Next one in technology, Microsoft. I'm a bit biased. I'm an IT technician, but with that also I've seen with the Microsoft 365 systems how sticky it is and how much money they make and how they can raise the prices without being affected. And Microsoft is not only for Windows these days, it's databases, mail systems, and can't forget also the gaming sector. They are actually one of the largest gaming companies in the world now, with them buying up other studios. But for Microsoft, I believe it's a very good company, but a bit overvalued still. We can see that the earnings growth is extremely good and almost, it's accelerating. But yeah, I have a hard time buying it below 200, I would say. And no, Microsoft can't only go up. It can actually go down. Here we can see it was up to 330 and now it's down to 260. And the last one in the list is TSM. The ship makers are basically the new oiling companies, and TSM are arguably the best ship maker out there. And sure, there is some geopolitical risk, but I tend not to worry too much about geopolitics and economics. I have a bit of Peter Lynch in the back of my head. You just have to find good companies and diversify your portfolio and invest every month and you will do fine. And for TSM, we can see why they are among the best. They just have an amazing growth, accelerating growth, and it's been growing by almost 18% per year. And they are now trading at their average PE, so I actually added some TSM last month. That was it for this video. Hope you guys found it informative. This list can also be sorted by SMA 200, the average price. So then it looks like this. And here we can see the consumer stocks being undervalued by quite a lot. Consumer finance tech is taking a beating, while industrial and healthcare are holding up quite good. If you're interested in this spreadsheet, you can find it in the description of the video. It also has trackers for your stocks. You only have to fill in the blue values here, and it will track the rest. So yeah, have a nice one, guys, and see you next time. Bye.